gentlemen, we are here at PAX. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joseph Hunter. I'm Akabaka, the lead developer for the Suckerforlove series in Chromatos. Here showing off Suckerforlove Crush Landing today.
So it's been an interesting journey since when I first met you, because it was before Dread. And then the second game came out with Dread. And then now you're with Black Lantern Collective.
Correct.
So obviously journey, but even just looking at the stylistic of game, the first game being, it had its like cutesier, like comic elements, whereas the second game it was more of a horror, darker tone. And then looking at the third one, it seems like you kind of went back to the original style. What kind of made you do the shift, or was it just like the envisionment of like each goddess kind of thing?
Yeah, so the story, the tone kind of gets set by which characters, which gods the stories are based off of. With the Black Go to the Woods and the Cultists, the story was really pulling in a horror direction. And I wanted to round out the IP a little bit to kind of encompass everything that Suckerforlove is. Like, it's funny and it's romantic, but it's also can be really scary sometimes. So I decided to run foil for the first game, with the second game by having the horror really take the center stage. This time for the color out of space, it's not a god this time, it is just an eldritch oddity, so it's really welcoming to the idea of running a more comedic, more romantic story, kind of similar to the first one. And so it is a little bit of return to form in terms of the storytelling, but it's all because of, it's kind of what is arising naturally from the gameplay and the gods and the characters involved. And so it should hopefully bring a lot to the table. If you like the first one or the second one, this third one kind of takes all of the strengths from the previous two. The direction of the first game, but the 3D turnaround and art style of the second.
Yeah, I know last time when we were talking about the second one, we were going into detail about how like that 3D animation actually worked out. It was just a whole bunch of pictures and on top of each other. Have you kind of like refined the process, or
Well, I can do it a lot faster now that I figured it out. It is a little bit of a novel process. It's basically if you ever take a camera and you turn it into panorama mode and you slowly turn around, like that, you kind of see the resulting picture. We draw in that distorted style so that when you pan across the image in the game, it looks like you're turning around in a 3D environment. And now that we've it took me about 6 to 8 months to crack that the first time in Suckerforlove 2. Now that we've already solved it, I can just do it without having to have any headaches this time around. So it's a lot faster now, and it's a little bit more polished now that we know how it works.
So obviously, this being the third game in the series, some people are wondering what's next afterwards. Is there going to be another Suckerforlove? Do you have anything that you're like kind of inspired by, but like dabbling with?
Yep, there's one more game that is planned after this one, and that's going to be the Smash Ultimate. Everybody's here. It's every character that you've seen previously comes back. A bunch of new ones that you haven't seen. Basically, it's going to be the last lap, the big last hurrah for the Suckerforlove series, where you're going to be able to meet and date all of the gods and goddesses in a rapid fire sort of comprehensive anthology of all of the characters so far. And it's really going to be, once again, every time we release one of these games, the gameplay is slightly different than the ones beforehand. This one's going to be the most different, most exciting. I'm really excited for this one. It'll be behind this one and a couple other projects like Chromatos. Yeah, that should be the last one that I've got planned for the series, and it should be a really, really good one.
I mean, everyone loves a good combination, but sometimes it also makes you want more afterwards. So, when you were talking about how the gameplay differs, like what specifically sets it apart from the first two? I know when I was playing the demo at West, there was that color element with the Eldritch being that it was absorbing the different colors.
Yeah, exactly. So you actually touched right on it. That's the main draw. So the first two games, the old one had the ritual books because you were dealing with gods, and so you had like cults and such. But since the color out of space isn't a god, it's an eldritch entity, there's no cult, there's no ritual, so there's no book. This time instead, because of the color out of space, you see how it mutates and affects like plant organisms, living things made out of organic matter as you start to feed things of various colors to it. And this is this is kind of one of those things where we took sort of the things that this game was based off of and used that to determine tone and also the mechanics like that. So the 3D turning around is back from the second game. You have dialogue options this time around as well. Yeah. Before it was all there was multiple endings, but it was all just by the things that you do. Now there's also dialogue options, and there's a huge mess of them. So lots of new roleplay opportunities.
Lots of variety.
Yes, absolutely.
So multiple ending variety then?
Absolutely.
So now with the second one being horror, and then these being more like comedic, romantic.
Oh, there's going to be
comedies.
horror in this one too. Actually, my wife told me that this is the scariest one yet based off the monsters that I've already shown her.
Based off the monsters.
Yeah, so although it is back to funny and back to romantic, I'm getting from playtesters that this is one of the scarier ones, actually, through the mutations that happen.
Do you want to reveal any of those, or is it just
Oh, they're coming. They're coming.
Or
They'll be
is it-
revealed soon.
or play the demo and see for yourself?
Yeah, there's an implication in the demo that as things are exposed to the Color Out of Space, they'll mutate in horrific ways. Kind of like if you've seen the movie Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, that kind of body horror, or very Junji Ito style body horror, is going to be all over the place in this one.
So with the final game, what kind of atmosphere are you? Is it going to be like a meeting in outer space kind of vibe, or is it everyone on Earth and then have an interact?
I can't spoil it,
Can't
but it's
spoil
going to be. It is going to be everybody all together in one place. That's the most I can say.
Fair enough. How's the overall reception been with the playtest?
Oh, really good so far. Really good so far. Both with the public demo and here, people are excited. People are recognizing it. So far, I did try something very, very different with this one, where it feels like a return to form, but also with the book gone, with this new entity, these new mechanics. People seem to be really reacting well to them because a lot of these features are things that people have been requesting for a long time. So like the bespoke inventory, bespoke save system, dialogue options, the 3D art, but in the first game sort of tone. I made it a challenge to myself to see how much player feedback I could work into this game while still keeping it very Suckerforlove, and so far it's been paying off really well.
Alright, so obviously the next game is in this franchise is next, but what are you thinking afterwards?
Oh geez. Well, I've got a backlog of 8 or so games that I haven't been able to touch because I'm working on this. So there will be no shortage of Akabaka's titles after Suckerforlove. Maybe some collaborations that I've been putting up while I finish on this. So lots of really cool stuff coming down the line.
So, not game related, outside of like work, how do you at least get to relax?
I'll relax when I'm dead. Right now,
That's fair.
right now, I'm just trying to make sure that I get as much out of my youth and my drive as I can before I like burn out or before I get too old to do this. So I'm trying to get everything out I can.
Have you been using any like games or other forms of media as inspiration recently? Or?
Yeah, I read a lot of manga, like Junji Ito stuff. I play a lot of games, especially what's in the horror space. But I try out a lot of stuff just to stay really inspired. I'm reading a lot of Murakami as well. Love his novels. But I just try to stay hungry, and doing that always gives me something. Oh, I could do this, I could do that, and it keeps me really feeling